The African delegation, which includes leaders from South Africa, Senegal, the Comoros and Egypt, or rather Zambia, met with Ukraine's president, and those are the heads of states of those countries, Volodymyr Zelensky. They're expected to hold talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin today in St. Petersburg later. To help us understand some of the expectations of the peace mission, we speak now to Ukrainian ambassador to South Africa, Liubov Abravitova. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your time this morning. I guess maybe your reflection following the meeting with President Zelensky yesterday.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, that was a really very meaningful visit. I think it was the first visit of that scale from African countries that Ukraine ever seen, unfortunately, in the very difficult circumstances. First and most important, the peace talks that had to be introduced by the 7 heads of delegations were interrupted by the missile attack, as you know. And I want us very clearly to understand what kind of message was sent to these African leaders from Russians. We in Ukraine, unfortunately, already used to these bombings, you know, but I guess when 7 presidents are coming to the country and receiving that, it definitely shows, and I will bear with my with your previous guest in the studio, that that shows that someone is not respecting African leaders. That shows that someone is not respecting the reason they are coming, because when you are talking about peace, you are not definitely putting in danger the negotiators. Second important point is that we clearly heard that all the countries are respecting UN Charter, Ukrainian territorial integrity and sovereignty. I think this was very crucial for Ukraine, for my president, for my people, to hear this from the respective heads of delegations. They did realize what is the situation on the ground. They have seen the crimes committed by Russians. They visited Bucha. They've seen all the damages that occurred in the capital of the country, which is under everyday shellings. Meantime, they did recognize that the peace solution in this particular aggression is not an easy task, that the peace formula of Zelensky that they were introduced for is the only formula that can work for Ukraine, and that Ukraine definitely needs the security guarantees from as many countries as we can, not even only from NATO, but from other players in the world.
Definitely. Unfortunately, we couldn't bring our viewers the detail of the missile attacks or the situation on the ground in Ukraine, because unfortunately a media contingency was stuck in Poland and was not able to bring us the reality on the ground. When it comes to that situation, were you briefed? Do we know what happened?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Well, first of all, it's really pity that the journalists decided not to travel, because they had their visas to Ukraine, and I believe that they could get their way to Ukraine. We were waiting for them, and it was very important for them to see on their own eyes what the program was looking like. Second point is that definitely the missile attack that was happening was the message, because recently, the previous months, Russia was using its terrorist approach only at night. So usually when people were sleeping, the missile alarms would go on and the people will be going into the shelters. Now, it was the first time when missile attacks started during the day, actually almost coinciding with that time when the heads of delegations were in Bucha. Moreover, it was the most massive missile attack that ever Kiev was seeing. It was 6 Kinjals, which is the ballistic missiles. And the level of destruction, if that would not be hidden in the air by Ukrainian anti-missile forces, can be very dangerous.
Just on that point, or rather the previous point, so just to confirm, your understanding is that the media itself did not want to go to Ukraine. And on the missile attacks, were there any casualties?
We are not aware about the casualties as of yet. We did see the destroyed residential buildings. There are 11, I guess, buildings in the outskirts of Kiev that were destroyed. On the first point, I cannot make assumptions. I'm just telling you that we did provide visas to all the delegation, including journalists.
Liubov Abravitova is the Ukrainian ambassador to South Africa. Thank you very much for your time this morning.